2/3 of all moves happen right now in the late spring and in the summer. This is prime time for moving companies and moving company scams. There were 8,500 complaints made last year to the Better Business Bureau in the United States and Canada. So, how do you avoid getting taken? With us tonight is Oded Carmi. He is the president and owner of DN Van Lines in Boston. And, you know, the vast majority of movers are reputable guys like you, but, you know, there are always some bad guys out there, and we have to, I think, as consumers, be aware of this. Where does one start? If you're thinking about, you know, doing a move right now, you're going to hire movers, whether residential or even an office, where do you start in avoiding problems down the line?
Well, Mike, you have to do your homework. The first thing you want to check is the licensing of the company. You want to make sure that they're posting on their website, that it's on their trucks, both the Department of Transportation, that's the national licensing, and both with your state government. Next thing you want to look into is into state associations and also national associations for the industry, like the American Moving and Storage Association. And the next thing you want to go into is you want to get references. And 20 years ago, very difficult to do. Now, you go online, you can see multiple reviews. That's right. You just Google them. And that's one great thing about Unpack.com. They aggregate reviews from multiple different sites onto pre-screen movers' profiles.
All right. This is a website that you mentioned. It's up on the screen, Unpacked, U-N-P-A-K-T. What's the advantage of a site like this? And I know this is a site that you work with.
Sure. I mean, Unpack.com is an online portal, and it gives you exact pricing quotes for multiple different pre-screened moving companies. And we're actually one of those moving companies that works with Unpack both in Massachusetts and in Florida.
All right. So the last time I moved, I remember going through this process where I got 3 different companies to come and look at my stuff and give me bids. Is that still part of the process, and can you do that through Unpacked?
You can definitely do that through Unpacked. And actually, you can get a lot more than 3 bids through Unpacked in probably a quarter of the time that you spent doing it. Still doing your due diligence is extremely important. The reviews, like we talked about, state associations, and you also want to look at pricing outliers. If you see one moving company is a lot lower than the others that you're getting quotes for, probably a good idea to stay away.
And we talk about quotes, you got to get this in writing. Once you decide, it's got to be in writing, right? The more in writing, the better, I would imagine.
And also, the representative of the company that you speak with, he has to be informative. You have to feel comfortable with him. And that also gives you a good indication if it's a good company to work with.
All right, and they obviously have to come and look at your stuff, right? I mean, there has to be an on-site review by the mover, right? I mean, you can't just tell them, oh, I got a lot of stuff. Well, how does that work?
Well, it's actually different between interstate, across state lines, and intrastate moves within the state. For an interstate move, you always need to get an on-site estimate. If you're moving your college dorm, you can most likely get a good quote online or through the phone.
Mm-hmm. All right, if I then have decided on a mover, what should be my expectation as a customer in terms of the things that a good mover should do in terms of conduct and the things they should do? What should be my expectation?
Well, you know, we're in a technology age now, so you want to look for things like trucks being GPS tracked. You know why? Because you can call the office during your move and say, hey, where's my truck? And they can tell you, well, they're, you know, going 80 miles an hour. That's too fast. Hopefully 50 on the pike.
And what else? Anything else? I mean, in terms of their conduct and how they handle things, the timeliness of it, all those are important things.
Well, a lot of that goes without being said. You want your crew to be uniformed. You want them to be respectful, easy to communicate with, as well as show up on time and do a good job. And the only way to do that is to really do your research up front.
All right, what's the biggest mistake most people make? Or is there any mistake that people make?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest mistake is not to ask about your protection. What is your valuation, as known as in the industry? Oftentimes, that doesn't come up until a damage occurs, and then there's problems.
Mm-hmm. So you're asking, you know, whether you're insured in case you break something of mine. Is that what you're talking about?
No, you want to ask exactly. Being fully insured doesn't mean that you're insuring all of your clients' valuables. You need to make sure you know exactly what happens if a damage occurs. Ask that question at the front end. Don't find out at the back end.
It's all important stuff and great tips. Oded Carmi, president and owner of DN Van Lines in Boston. And we want to give you folks also a phone number that we have, and it's on the screen, and it's the Massachusetts Attorney General hotline. A lot of good information there about movers, 617-727-8400. Thanks, Oded.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mike.